government set to introduce a landmark bill. Proposes to increase legal age of marriage for women from 18 to 21. The opposition calls it mere symbolism. If right to vote can be 18, why not right to marry? A revolutionary move by the government, or tokenism, will change in women marriageable age, change mindsets. Top focus on To The Point this evening.
Good evening, viewers. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. Well, one would reckon that if the government was to increase the legal marriageable age of women from 18 years to 21 years, it would be welcomed in this country. But viewers, like most things in this country, which is India, it's complicated.
Every fourth girl in India is married before she turns 18. 16% adolescent Indian girls aged between 15 to 19 are currently married. 40% of the world's 60 million child marriages take place in India. India is home to the largest number of child brides in the world. The government is all set to introduce the bill in Parliament to increase the legal age to marry from 18 to 21 years for girls. The decision is based on the recommendation of a task force. The proposed bill may also contain amendments to various personal laws relating to marriage of various communities to ensure a uniform age of marriage. As of now, the legal age of women to get married is 18, while that for men is 21. While the bill is yet to be tabled, the ranks of most opposition parties are set to oppose it.
There has to be very, very cogent reasons. And cogent reasons because we are talking about almost 50%, a section in the 50% of the population. And how it is going to affect this particular section because it is a vulnerable class.
This is a very good example of paternalism of the Modi government. I don't understand that increasing the age from 18 to 21. In fact, I'm of the opinion that even the 21 age limit for boys should be reduced to 18.
While many parties have labelled the move as mere tokenism, some have been downright sexist and misogynist in their opposition.
लड़कियों को ज़्यादा उम्र बढ़ा देने से बहरहाल हालात बिगड़ेंगे और जो 18 साल की उम्र भी काफ़ी थी उनके लिए जी और वो हमेशा चली आ रही थी और इस वरना इसने ज़्यादा आवारगी का मौका मिलेगा इसमें.
While most have welcomed the move by the government, political parties and some women rights groups are skeptical. The pros of increasing marriageable age and early marriage leads to early pregnancies also have impact on nutritional levels of mothers and their children. Moreover, their overall health and mental well-being gets impacted. It also has an impact on infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate. The empowerment of women who are cut off from access to education and livelihood after an early marriage. The cons of increasing marriageable age is being viewed as mere tokenism, while mindsets remain the same. Women are adults at 18 and can vote, why not marry? Uniform equality is to lower age of marriageable age of men to 18. Address causes of malnutrition and maternity mortality rate. Look at giving real incentives for education and not make token changes. While the bill is yet to be tabled, the furor around the possible reforms have already begun. Bureau Report, India Today.
Viewers, by the looks of it, the move by the government to introduce a bill to raise the marriageable age of women to 21 looks like it's revolutionary. It's something that is much needed in this country, even if it is tokenism. But why is there opposition? We're going to cut across this evening to two political panelists and one women rights activist. I have with me Anila Singh, Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson. I also have with me Mr. Waris Pathan, AIMIM spokesperson. The party has opposed it and it's going to oppose it tooth and nail when the bill is introduced in Parliament. But AIMIM doesn't stand alone opposing it, viewers. In all probabilities, we're getting to understand that all left parties are going to oppose the bill. We're getting to understand Samajwadi Party, Congress will also oppose the bill. So there's going to be a fair amount of opposition. I appreciate both of you for joining us. In a short while, we'll also be joined by Brinda Adige, women rights activist. Waris Pathan, I want to begin with you. In principle, sir, what could be your objection, your party's objection to raising the marriageable age of women to 21?
Well, our primary objection to that is quite clear and simple, that at the age of 18, a girl has a right to enter into a living relationship. A girl has a right to enter into a contract to do any kind of business. At the age of 18, the girl has a right to appoint or to elect an MLA. A girl has a right to appoint the MP, to appoint a government. So why shouldn't the girl at the age of 18 have a right to get married? Why Modi wants to enter on the privacy of a person? So today Modi, what he wants to do is, what do you eat, how you eat, which God do you profess, which God do you worship? These are entering into the privacy of a personal person. Let it remain with the individual's capacity that if they want to marry at the age of 18, why should you stop them? See, in America, in Canada, or in New Zealand, we have got the data which shows that in US the permissible age to get married is 14. In Canada, the age permissible limit is 16. Nowhere it is 21. So why does this government wants to see that the age of the girl is increased from 18 to 21? Let the individual have their own say. Let the individual have a right to get married at their own particular consent time. This is what I wanted to say.
Mr. Pathan, may I ask you, sir, where was your party's, the thought, or where was your party? Why didn't you say anything when the marriageable age of boys was 21 and girls was 18? Why didn't you rally for the fact that bring down the marriageable age of boys from 21 to 18? I've never seen your party rally on the fact that bring down the age of boys on men when it comes to their legal marriageable age. Why so much interest only in keeping the girls' age at 18?
Well, the uniformity, if they want, then bring the boy's age to 18 as well. You see, at the age of 21, it was seen that the boy gets graduate and if wants to marry, can marry at that time. Now, if the Modi government is so much serious of improving the women's safety or the girls' safety, then they should go for some economic changes.
Okay.
They should go for better education policies. What is the better education policy than providing good education to a girl? Today, what we see in our country, the fees of particular course is so high. It is privatization that a girl, if she wants to study, she cannot afford that much. So what has Modi government done to circumvent that? Nothing. So if you are really serious and if you want to ensure that girls, we want the girl to get empowered, we want them to get better education. If the government is serious, then they should improve the economic condition of the girl. They should improve the education condition of the girls. But entering into the privacy, which is violative of the fundamental right, is no good for the constitution. Let them choose their own. See, some few bachelors in our country who are not married, they want to create this kind of atmosphere, and now all of a sudden they come up with something with age, the girl should get married at the age of 21, which according to me is entering into the privacy of a particular person. An 18-year-old girl is mature enough to take her own decision. If she can elect a prime minister, if she can elect a government of her own choice, why should she not have the opportunity, or she should not have a right?
You know, I'm going to bring in Anila Singh. She's been quite patient. I want to bring her in. But I want to ask you one more question, sir, before I bring in Anila Singh, because you lost me, sir, and I'm sure you lost most of our panelists when you say a boy needs to be a graduate at 21. You know, where's the hypocrisy? Doesn't the girl need to be a graduate at 21? What about the fact of infant mortality, of maternal mortality? You know, there is documented facts that all of this goes down if a girl marries late. But once again, you know, the fact that you say a boy needs to be a graduate at 21, this is the mindset. Shouldn't a girl be a graduate at 21, Mr. Pathan?
Well, you are right. There are data which suggests that there are so many girls who get married under the age of 10. millions of them, and most of the 84% of the girls who are getting married below the 10 years of age are from Hindu family. Only 11% or so are from the other caste. But bringing an age criteria from 18 to 21 is infringement of a personal life to liberty, personal life of a particular person who wants to get married. Why you want to enter into a choice of a person? If you see, what is the harm if the girl gets married at the age of 18? The scientific data, is the America behind in scientific data? Is New Zealand and Canada lacking behind in some scientific proofs? When they say that, okay, a girl can marry at the age of 14, when the Canadian government can say the girl can marry at the age of 16, New Zealand says below 16, between 16 and 19. Why should a law be enacted to curb the independence of a particular person? Now, should the girl marry according to Modi now? Should Modi has become an Uncle Tom? That is what I say. He wants to interfere into private life of an individual. It is contrary to the constitution and fundamental right guaranteed as per the constitution.
Mr. Pathan, there's a lot wrong in what you say. I would suggest just mere factually in terms of data, but I want to bring in Anila Singh. One of it, you're comparing this country and the marriageable age to countries like Canada, to countries like New Zealand, to countries like America. Our economic situation, especially where our rural belt is concerned, is extremely different, sir. Girls forget about access to education, have very little access even to medical rights. So let's not even get into that argument. But Anila Singh, I want to bring you in on this, and I want to ask you one quick question. At the grain level, there is a concern, and which many women's rights activists also have, by merely putting on paper and changing the marriageable age to 21, you're not going to do anything about mindsets.
My Ram Ram to everyone. And Preeti, I'll start that when you educate a boy, you educate a person, and when you educate a girl, you are educating whole of the family. And now you're talking about that if anything is brought on paper, it doesn't mean that it is going to be followed on the grounds as well. But we have seen that since 1978, when the marriageable age of girls has, it was increased from 16 to 18, we have seen the positive results. So the child marriage, yes?
Yes, indeed, it is happening in today's date as well, but it has reduced, and this is what we want. And let me tell you one thing here, Preeti. I mean, especially I am hearing the voices from the Muslim leaders. They are contradicting this thing. So I have to say one thing here, and Mr. Pathan is also sitting here, that if you talk about Sharia, if you talk about your religion, if you talk about the Islam, so Islam has made the acquisition of education mandatory for every Muslim, as mentioned in the Hadith, stating that the acquisition of knowledge is mandatory upon every Muslim. This is what Islam says. So whether I don't know whether he's going to agree with me or not. And such language by the Holy Prophet accentuates the farziyat of education in Muslim society, and for every Muslim in all in every circumstances, Preeti. So I just want to say here, hence education is a fundamental factor in Islam as well. So why Muslims living in our country are contradicting it?
Right, Ms. Singh, can we just keep it away from making it a religious debate, because there have been enough people, enough men and women who come from who are from other communities, from other religious communities, who also hold the same view as Mr. Pathan.
Preeti, why I am saying this thing? Why we are hearing so strong voices from the Muslim political leaders? Why? Because the reason is, like many of them, they say, as it is mentioned also, that once the girls attain her puberty, she can get married. But at the same time, in their religion, it is very well written in Islam that every person, every Muslim, should get educated. That person should be
Anila Singh, I want to keep this debate away from religion, because this is extremely important to just focus. Yeah, I agree with ma'am. You've made your point. Can I just bring in? I'll bring in Brinda Adige as well into this. Brinda Adige, in principle, do tell me what could be wrong in raising the marriageable age of girls to 21, especially where we are a country where every fourth girl is married under the age of 18 years.
At the outset, this sounds very, very nice. 21 for both boys and for girls, and to say that we would be able to curb child marriage. But that's a big lie, because in 1978, when the marriage age was raised from 16 to 18, we had the same argument. This was the same debate that kept on at that time to say that when a woman marries at 18, then she would have access to medical, health care, education will be completed. But we haven't done anything since 40 years. Child marriages continue. IMR and MMR is still continuing. We also know that access to education for girls across India is a big challenge. Even if they get a school, toilet facilities and transportation facilities is another big challenge. And let us not forget, our schools are still very shy of giving them sex education. Making a law and not having finances to put in all of this infrastructure just goes to show that, I will make a law without any of the infrastructure. The most important point, let us also ask ourselves, why is it that we are doing this for girls? It is also to curb the agency independence of girls and women. Many times we've heard the younger voices that have come up, the task force has come up to say that exploring sexuality, which is biologically something that you cannot stop, begins from 16, 17. There is that control that the government and the families want to put. Making a law of this nature gives even more control to parents and to the government to curb
Ms. Adige, as I take this question back to Anila Singh, I want to come back. And I beg to disagree with you. When we talk about agency of women, where do most rural women have any agency at all? The very fact, if you're going to cap it at 21, you're at least and incentivize them to get educated, which the government should do. What's wrong in doing that? They don't have agency in the first place.
Has the government made this possible? In the last 40 years, has the government made it possible for children not to be married? Child marriage still continues. Where is the school education access? They had 40 years. What is going to change today if you do it at 21? Are you going to now make it accessible at primary school, middle school and high school that children will not drop out? Why are children dropping out? Look at the last 2 years. Child marriage has increased. Child labor has increased. Agency is when you look at the number of young girls who choose to go and get married.
Who chooses, Ms. Adige? That's the question. I want to get in Ms. Anila as well. But the fact is, they don't have a choice. In the rural belt, hardly any woman actually will choose. They're married off before they can exercise any choice. You and I know better the kind of figures that we have, that most girls are married under the age of 12. Having said that, Anila Singh, I want to bring you in and I want to take the question which Ms. Adige raised. And in a lot of probabilities, it's a valid question because you don't do anything in terms of infrastructurally. You do not support these girls. You, on paper, put the marriageable age at 21. It's tokenism. Shouldn't there be, you incentivize them at least? You give it, you build the infrastructure and then you raise the bar to 21?
It is an irony that Ms. Brinda is a social activist and somehow she is discouraging if we are raising the marriageable age of the girls. And let me tell her that child marriages, they have decreased. They have decreased indeed. So that is why laws are made so that people should have some sort of fear if it is criminalized or if it is penalized. And yes, infrastructure has improved in various states as well. So let us not talk about Modi ji, but yes, we should talk about the states and state governments, what type of support they are giving. Indeed, what the steps which has been taken by the central government, they are appreciable. Whether we talk about the
young people
or the different social schemes to empower girl students. Yes, I mean, I can say, Preeti, that today if we are sitting together and we're discussing on it, even we are women and we are educated girls, because such facilities have been given to us by the government and as well as by our family. So this is what we want to do. Empower the girls. Give them an opportunity.
I want to go into a quick break, but Ms. Adige, I'll come right back to you because you hold a contrarian view. I want to come right back to you and I want to ask you very quickly, what is wrong with what Ms. Anila is also saying here? Because raise the age and incentivize at the same time. What is wrong in that? In principle, why would one need to oppose a move like this?
I'm in complete agreement if that is what is going to be done. But it is not going to be done like that because we have seen in the past, you make a law, but you don't have the infrastructure in place. Let's also ask this question. In case women get married and if the husband dies, will that woman get access to the property rights simply because she is not yet 21 and she got married at 18? But these are all issues that we need to ask ourselves. Criminalizing young people for getting married.
Anila Singh,
is
incentivize.
something that we and I have to ask ourselves.
Okay,
No, no, this is what-
Anila Singh, I want to go into a quick break, but incentivize at the same time while you raise the bar.
Same, Preeti, this is what I want to tell Brindaji, that is why we want that marriageable age of the girls
Okay.
should be increased so that they can very well get educated, so that they are financially and socially empowered.
Okay.
Tomorrow, if her husband dies, she can go out and pick up a job. She can support her children. She can support her family. This is what we
All
want
right,
to
okay,
do.
this
And
can-
you-
the issue of
and you are
sexuality.
pushing- one
All right,
more
I'm going to,
thing.
okay, unfortunately, I've terribly run out of time. Appreciate both the ladies for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Pathan. We leave it for our viewers to decide which side of the divide do they stand on. Should the country like India anyway raise it to 21 and build the infrastructure? Because, you know, we've been trying to build the infrastructure. It hasn't happened yet. We leave it for our viewers to decide. A quick break. Up next is Rahul Kawal.